Welcome back to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. Halloween is just around the corner, and what better way to get into the spooky spirit than by sharing some bone-chilling true Halloween horror stories. Today, we've got 5 terrifying tales that'll send shivers down your spine. So, grab your favorite Halloween treat, turn off the lights, and let's dive into these hair-raising stories. Our first story is The Haunting of Old Willow House. It was Halloween night, and a group of friends decided to take on a dare. They had heard the legend of Old Willow House, a dilapidated mansion with a dark history. According to the stories, anyone who spent a night there on Halloween would experience something truly paranormal. They took this challenge seriously. The group of 6 ventured into the old mansion with flashlights in hand. The night started off with eerie sounds, creaky floors, and flickering lights. The friends tried to remain brave, laughing off the strange occurrences. But as the hours passed, things took a terrifying turn. One of the friends claimed to have seen a shadowy figure in the corner of a room. They brushed it off, thinking it was just their imagination. However, things escalated when objects began to move on their own, and ghostly whispers echoed through the mansion. Fear gripped them, and they decided to leave immediately. But when they reached the front door, it slammed shut with an incredible force. Panic set in, and they were trapped inside with the malevolent presence. Finally, they managed to force the door open and ran out, vowing never to return to Old Willow House. Our next story is about the disappearing trick-or-treater. This happened on a Halloween night in a quiet suburban neighborhood. A family was enjoying the holiday, handing out candies to eager trick-or-treaters. But as the night went on, one particular visitor stood out, a young girl dressed as a ghost, her face hidden beneath a white sheet. The family noticed the girl's silence and assumed it was just part of her costume. They gave her some candy and she continued on her way. Hours passed and the family decided to call it a night. As they cleaned up, they noticed the little ghost was still sitting on their porch swing. Concerned, they went outside to check on her, but she was gone, leaving behind a pile of candy and her ghostly costume. They frantically searched the neighborhood, knocking on doors and asking if anyone had seen the girl, but no one had. The police were called, and a missing persons report was filed. To this day, the girl in the ghost costume remains a haunting mystery, never to be seen again. Our third story is titled The Witch's Curse. It's a tale from a small village where the legend of a vengeful witch had persisted for generations. On one Halloween night, a group of teenagers decided to test the legend's validity by visiting the witch's supposed resting place, a creepy, overgrown graveyard deep in the woods. The air grew colder as they ventured deeper into the forest, and the atmosphere became increasingly eerie. Soon they stumbled upon the graveyard, where an old, decrepit tombstone marked the witch's grave. Not wanting to be disrespectful, they decided to leave an offering as a sign of respect. But as they turned to leave, one of them accidentally tripped over the tombstone, knocking it over. That's when they heard it, a bone-chilling, otherworldly scream that sent shivers down their spines. Terrified, they ran from the graveyard and into the woods. In their haste, they became disoriented and lost, eventually wandering back to the graveyard. It was as if the forest was drawing them back. They knew they were in the witch's grasp, and her curse had taken hold. In a final act of desperation, they placed the tombstone back in its rightful position. As they did, the eerie screaming stopped, and the curse was lifted. They fled the forest, never daring to return, and never testing the power of that vengeful witch again. Our fourth story is The Vanishing Halloween Costume. This story revolves around a young boy named Danny. He was a Halloween enthusiast who spent months planning his perfect costume, a realistic werewolf ensemble. He had saved up all his allowance and even mowed lawns to buy the materials needed for the costume. On Halloween night, Danny eagerly put on his werewolf outfit, complete with incredibly convincing makeup. He looked like a creature straight out of a horror movie. With his parents' permission, he set out for a night of trick-or-treating with his friends. They went door to door, collecting candy and admiring Danny's costume, which was a hit with everyone they encountered. But as the night wore on, something strange started happening. Danny began to feel increasingly agitated, and his friends noticed that he was acting strangely. He started growling and snarling at passers-by, scaring the other children. His friends tried to calm him down, but it was as if he had become possessed by some otherworldly force. Terrified, his friends fled, leaving Danny alone on a dark street. When his parents found him, he was covered in dirt and leaves, his costume in tatters. He had no memory of what had happened. It was as though he had been under the influence of something sinister. To this day, no one can explain what caused Danny's transformation into a real-life werewolf. Our final story is the Ouija board nightmare. Ouija boards are known for their connection to the spirit world, but they can also be a gateway to something far more sinister. This story revolves around a group of friends who decided to use a Ouija board during a Halloween sleepover. On this particular Halloween night, they were determined to communicate with the spirits. They dimmed the lights, lit candles, and placed their fingers on the planchette. As they began asking questions, the planchette slowly moved, spelling out responses that sent shivers down their spines. At first, it seemed harmless, a spirit claiming to be a friendly presence, offering insights into the future. But as the night went on, the atmosphere in the room grew more and more oppressive. The Ouija board spelled out dark and disturbing messages, telling them things that no one else could possibly know. Terrified, they tried to end the session, but the planchette refused to move. Felt as if they were trapped in a nightmare. They could hear whispering voices in the room, and a cold wind swept through, chilling them to the bone. Desperation set in as they realized they had unleashed something malevolent. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the planchette moved to goodbye, and the room fell silent. The friends quickly packed up the Ouija board and vowed never to use it again. However, the horrors they experienced that night continued to haunt them. They reported seeing shadowy figures, hearing eerie whispers, and suffering from nightmares that never seemed to end. The Ouija board had opened a door to a realm they couldn't fully comprehend, and they were forever changed by that fateful Halloween night. And there you have it, 5 bone-chilling true Halloween horror stories that will send shivers down your spine. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe for more terrifying content, and share your own Halloween horror stories in the comments below. Happy Halloween!